day, and welcome to the Search with Lisa. If you are returning, I want to say thank you for all your support. We are growing, and with you returning, sharing and liking, commenting, all that helps us so much. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And we upload every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we often will also open it up for premiere. So that way, when it uploads, we can all enjoy each other in the chat. And I feel like that somewhat helps us with bonding within the community. At the end, please leave your comments below, and you are welcome to ask anything. Of course, always be kind in the comments to the victim's family and anyone else. We never know who are reading the comments, and we always want to be kind and respectful. I mainly do all unsolved crimes, but today I wanted to kind of turn it in a different direction. This case here, you will see as I get into it why I wanted to talk about it. And it's just such a heart-wrenching but important awareness to get out. So let's get into it. Today I will be talking about the deaths of Janelle, Hornickel, and Michael Wamsley. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too much, but let's stay focused on the point here in all respects, of course. Before I go further, this, of course, is a couple, but I want to kind of tell you a little bit about both of the backgrounds, okay? So let's start with Janelle. Janelle was born on March 23rd, 1984 in Grand Island, Nebraska, to parents Kent and Twyla. She had two older sisters and an older brother. She actually had another sister, died as an infant, unfortunately, in 1979, about 5 years before Janelle was born. She grew up, though, in Ord, Nebraska. And at this point, she had everything going for her. So some of the things, by just kind of looking into, she now was a junior at Creighton University in Omaha, which was probably about 185, 90 miles from where she grew up. She was a member of the sorority as well as a business fraternity. And she also had a job. Her family described her as a star athlete. She was also involved in the drama club, and she sang in the choir. She was also known as a cheerleader. Definitely a go-getter, had such high goals. You know, at this time, she was 20 years old and already doing all these things. She really excelled. She did well. She was focused on college. She lit up the room. Just a very, very wonderful young lady that their parents were so proud of. So I want to tell you also a little bit about Michael as well, just to kind of let you know about what type of people they were and kind of like how they met. Michael was born in Denver, Colorado, okay, on October 7th, 1984, to the parents of Stephen and Gabby. He had two brothers. The family did move, though, to rural Ord, Nebraska when he was 6 years old. So that is where, of course, they met, was in Ord, Nebraska. I will tell you, Michael took a little bit different of a route in life. We'll get into that later. He actually went to high school there, but he did end up dropping out. He did, though, work in landscaping during the summer months and enjoyed working on old cars. The couple had been dating, I would say now, which would be in 2005, for about a year or so. And they were both working for the Timberline Total Solutions telemarketing company. They were dating, they worked together, and then of course Janelle, went on to college. So things kind of started to change. But before then, that's kind of like they grew up in the same area, knew each other well, and like I said, then even worked at the same places. And then Janelle, of course, went on to college. That is kind of the backstory on them. A lot of great things said about both of them. So, first, what I want to talk about is we were in December of 2004. At this time, Janelle had actually went home to be with her family, celebrate was the holiday time. She was actually there on December 31st to bring in the new year. And her parents took pictures and unfortunately had no idea that that would be the last time that they would be taking pictures and celebrating New Year's. After they bring in the New Year's, they decide that Janelle is going to go on back to her college. We're talking, about 180-mile, 90-mile trip. Now, we're talking winter in Nebraska at New Year's. If you're someone that has been in that area, you know it's cold, it's wintry, and you don't want to take too many long hauls in it. Get where you're going and stay, but of course you need to get back, and Michael was back there. So that is kind of where we're at now, leading up to what I'm going to tell y'all. We are not sure exactly what happened once she got back between, I would say, around the first, second-ish to about the fourth. We do know that there was some parties around. They went, look, they're bringing in the new year together. She was back there with Michael and basically just doing what 20-year-olds do. And while they're on break from college and work and that's what they're doing. Enjoy bringing New Year. I'm going to go ahead and bring you to January 4th of 2005. The weather in Omaha was treacherous on a Tuesday. There was snowstorm. The temperatures were wind chilling, bone chilling. It was like negative 10 degrees. That tells me I don't need to be outside. I don't know about you, but of course, if you live there, you're more adaptable, I guess. I don't know how adaptable you can get to that cold, but I'm just really trying to set the scene to you of how cold and dangerous it could be if something happened while you were out. On the night of the 4th, like I said, they had been partying, kind of doing different things, hanging out, but they were going to start heading back to their apartment, which was in Omaha, Nebraska, just trying to get back home. They had been out doing things and they were just trying to make their way back home. Now, remind you, the weather was awful. It was almost like blizzard weather, definitely weather that if you were not experienced, one, you didn't need to be out, and two, really, you didn't need to be out unless it was for like an emergency situation. About 7:30 p.m. they were pulled over actually on their way going home in Geneva. Now Geneva is about 100 miles west of Omaha. And the reason they got pulled over was actually failing to signal, as well as a taillight was out. Michael was driving at the time. They actually told the officer that they were lost, and he told them that they were going south, but Omaha was east of their location. Michael asked the officer where Pacific Street was. The officer was like, "What are you talking about?" Asking him if he meant like in Geneva, because he was just asking for like this street area, and I don't know, it just kind of like bothered a little bit. But Michael told him that the street was actually in Omaha. So anyway, they were given a warning ticket. The officer's standing out there. It's in the blizzard. They're like cold, freezing. He gives them a warning ticket with directions to the highway. At this point, they were 120 miles away from their apartment in Omaha. Just to kind of bring you to speed, they're heading home. They're asking, do you know how to get to Pacific Street? Their comprehension skills are already feeling like they are close to Omaha. I mean, to their apartments. The officer did not really pick up on that. He pointed them in the right direction, although they did act somewhat all right, but it's still kind of like, are you sure you're okay? Do you know where you're going? So basically, while they're talking to this cop, they're acting as if they're pretty much close to home, and could they just felt like they were like a little turned around, and could they get them to Pacific Street? Well, little they know that direction was over 100 miles. As they take their journey on, guys, it does nothing but get worse. Time starts going by. Nobody had spoke with them. Okay. They were in a black truck, her truck. Like I said, Michael was driving. Well, 5 hours later, and only 23 miles from home. Okay, guys? So, I know that this was only about 120 miles away, which is 2 hours due to all the weather issues and stuff. Still did take them close to 5 hours to get where they were going. So I will blame half on what we're going to discuss and also the bad weather. But definitely should not have taken about 5 hours to get there. But it was really bad outside. Being only 23 miles from the home, their truck spun off the road in the early morning hours of January 5th at 12:30 a.m. So basically right after midnight this happens. Janelle she made her first call, and a bizarre story. She calls 911, guys. She told the dispatcher that she was at Mandalay Apartments, which, by the way, is the name of their apartments, okay? So they feel they are home. They are pretty much there, all right? And they've spun off the road.
911, what's emergency? Hi, there's a lot of Mexicans and African Americans, and they're all dressed up in like these close outfits, and they're moving all the vehicles. Do I just keep driving back and forth until I can get out, or why won't they let us out? And they're taking the cars apart and putting them in the trees. Yes, unless the owner is there moving their car for them. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to start running and get out of the vehicle. And I don't know where else to go. The police are on the way. Okay. Thank you.
So recap, they run off the road. They call 911. They are telling them that there are cars on the side of the road, that there's basically these Mexicans, African Americans, they're in these cult-like outfits, and basically have like made them stay in their car, would not let them out of their car, and that they were taking the cars apart and putting them in trees. Okay. So this is what they've told the dispatcher. To describe her location, she said the tree above the Mandalay. Because of course the dispatcher is trying to get, like, where are you? Where is this going on at? In the blizzard, 12:30 at night. They're putting him in the trees above the Mandalay, referencing her apartment complex, of course. Mandalay on Pacific, she tells them. Michael actually could be heard in the background yelling, "Get an officer here now." When asked how many people were out there, Michael told them 100 to 200.
Oh, how come all these 200 people that you see they can't help you?
911 caller said that the police would be out to the Mandalay Apartments, but it would take a little bit of time because of the terrible weather conditions. Janelle asked the woman if they could send a helicopter to go over the trees. They're really feeling like they are somewhere involved in this cult-like thing going on. They need serious help. They need helicopters. Like I don't know, but they just feel, even though we're right here at our apartments, there is serious things going down. It's the middle of the night. All right. The dispatcher was actually pretty confused, guys. Can you imagine being the dispatcher, hearing this coming in? What people are you referring to? Janelle responded, well, they're hiding in the trees and they're breaking them down and stuff. The dispatcher was clearly confused, just like baffled when Janelle said it was cars that were being hidden in trees.
Do I just keep driving back and forth until I can get out, or, why won't they let us out? And they're taking the cars apart and putting them in the trees. Yes, unless the owner is there moving their car for them. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to start running and get out of the vehicle. And I don't know where else to go. The police are on the way. Okay. Thank you.
So whatever was going on made them not only see things, they tell these dispatchers, they tell the 911 operators all this, and they believe it. They have a warm, safe truck. Even though they skid off the road, they are safe. They are just sitting, yes, it's cold, but if they sit there in the warm, they'll be okay. But whatever it was so bad that they felt they had to get out and get in this freezing weather. The authorities were so confused by this couple's report being in Omaha, since Janelle's cell phone actually signaled was coming from Sarpy County. Now remember, they thought they were by their apartments at Mandalay Apartments. Despite the questions, locations, police sent somebody out there. They did, but found no sign of them. They looked around, looked on the roads, nothing. So even in these terrible weathers and all this stuff kind of, and it's pinging off in another county, they go out there. I found out by reading and looking into things that actually Nebraska is, I believe, only one of 9 states that doesn't have up-to-date GPS tracking systems for cell phones. So the operator weren't even able to pinpoint their location. And also remember, this is 2005. We'll talk about that later. So the operators weren't able, like I said, to get their exact pinpoint where they were at. The call bounced off different towers, different counties, making it impossible to accurately find them. Sarpy County covers 248 square miles. So remember, she calls in about 12:30. At 1:05 a.m., Michael calls 911 and told the dispatcher that they had left their truck. They continued to say that they were near Mandalay Apartments where they lived, maybe 3 blocks away, and that they were out in the cold walking and at risk for freezing to death. A third call was placed at 1:30 a.m. by Michael.
911, what is your emergency? We need some assistance right now. Where are you? It's an old abandoned pond, like lake front area where they have cattle and an old gravel pump setup, and we need some assistance right now. Okay, I can't help you if I don't know where you are. Ma'am, no, I'm not lying to you. Sir, I don't think that you're lying to me, but we're going to need to do more work on where you are because we've been to 75th and Poppleton, and we cannot find you. Okay? Because they need to come further south. Further south. Open the gates. The gates to what?
Now, I want to tell you, every time they're calling, they're getting like a different dispatcher. It's not the same one every time that's coming in. But you can imagine by the time like the third one's coming in, people are kind of connecting, okay? They're kind of talking like something's going on. Remember, they already had sent somebody out there. So he told her that their car broke down and he was calling from a glass 4x4 toll booth-like shack.
I want you to stay in that booth. Wherever you do, you're going to stay in that booth.
Dispatcher Patty Viberg, that was the one he was talking to, was Miss Patty, told him that they had sent an officer out to that location but could not find him. Okay? They could not find him because he wasn't there, guys. He wasn't there.
And we need some assistance, like, right now. Okay, I can't help you if I don't know where you are. Ma'am, no, I'm not lying to you. Sir, I don't think that you're lying to me, but we're going to need to do more work on where you are because we've been to 75th and Poppleton, and we cannot find you. Okay? Because they need to come further south. Further south. Open the gates. The gates to what?
He told her that his pickup truck had been stolen and he had to go find it. So now it's been stolen. Michael continued to beg for help, telling her that they were freezing to death.
Please, anyone, help me. Come on. It's too cold.
She told Michael, I can't help you if you're not going to help yourself. And Michael ended the call. Now I will tell you, some people got a little frustrated with the way the dispatcher kind of, said things. It was very obvious something was going on. Had they wrecked the truck and hit their head? Was there some hypothermia going on and they decided to call 911 at that time? What exactly was going on? Because we know that they were not putting cars in the trees, that there was not Mexicans and African Americans surrounding everything, that we know that this wasn't happening. But at the same time, on the dispatcher's end, you're trying to figure out what's going on. But like I said, phone calls are coming in. Phone calls are coming in. During another call, Michael said the officers needed to come further south, open the gates. There are no gates in that area, guys. There's no gates. But regardless, another officer was sent over to his apartment complex, the Mandalay. And again, there was no sign of Michael nor Janelle. Several area 911 dispatchers began to communicate. Like I said earlier, they all started, getting this, trying to find this couple's location. And yes, suspected that drugs were contributing to this confusion.
I need you to be honest with me, Mike, okay?
Yeah.
Have you done any kind of drugs tonight?
No, I haven't done no drugs.
Because we can't prove it if you have.
I don't.
But it would help me to know if you did.
I don't do this, ma'am. I really don't.
So how come all these 200 people that you see they can't help you?
But that didn't matter. They were trying to help this couple. It did not matter. They wanted to find. Of course, they felt something was off. They also, like I said, tossed around the idea that there could have possibly been an accident with a head injury, hypothermia, might have, because of it being so cold, started getting confusion. 45 minutes or so go by. Michael places his fourth call. It is now 1:45 a.m.
There's people on the shack. They're flashing the light on top of the shack.
Oh, there's people on the shack?
Yes.
Go talk to them. Go to the people in the shack.
We tried. They won't talk. We tried to ask for help. We begged.
Okay, tell them that the police are on the phone and hand them your phone. Okay?
She wanted to speak to these people. She's hoping that he has seen somebody. Maybe he's just scared to go up to him, but she's thinking, okay, if I get a hold of these people and I can talk to them, I can figure out where they're at and what is going on. On one call, Patty urged him to go back to his truck because of the cold temperatures, of course, outside. He told her that it was rolled over on its top. So now it's rolled over. Now remember, they first called, they were inside the truck. They were told to not get out the truck. Remember, there was people that was like 100 to 200 cars. There was Mexicans, African Americans taking apart the cars, demanded them to stay in them. We're putting the parts in the trees. And then, they end up being so scared and things going on. They are forced to get out of the truck, So there's different things going on here, of course. Remember, too, he said that he had lost the truck. He had to try to go find it. When she insisted to go back and get in the truck for warmth, he then states that it is rolled over on its top. So now Patty's thinking, okay, well, if that is true, maybe they have been in an accident. She was worried that the car could be leaking gasoline. In actuality, the car was in an upright position just off the road. The dispatcher asked to speak to Janelle, hoping she might be able to guide them, help them in their location. Janelle sounded very disoriented.
We don't know where you're at. Is that your girlfriend? Yeah. Let me talk to her, okay?
Hello?
All right, do you have any idea where you're at?
Can I talk to our public office right now?
Y'all, about 15 minutes later, now this is about 2 a.m., Michael could be heard telling Janelle to get up.
Honey, come on, get up. Is she starting to lay down?
Yeah, she's breathing. Please, you over here now.
Oh, Mike, I want to help you so bad, hon. I want to find out where you're at.
911, it's emergency. We need some assistance right now. Where are you? It's an old abandoned pond, lake front area where they have cattle and an old gravel pump setup, and we need some assistance right now. Okay, I can't help you if I don't know where you are.
The last call came in around 4:20, when Janelle and Michael would have been out in sub-zero temperatures for now, I would say, 3.5, possibly 4 hours. The call lasted less than 2 minutes.
Hey, sorry, this is Michael Wamsley. I've just escaped. Please come get us. We're trying to find you. We don't know. You were in a shed. Now, you're out walking again? Yeah. It's okay. Kids will take care of tomorrow.
Officers combed the county, hoping the couple had found shelter to wait out the storm, and that was the last phone call that they had received from him. When they got out the next morning, the officers looking, and mind you, they had been out in this storm looking for them, because you got to remember, the whole time, they thought they were close to their apartments. They were actually not. They were being still in another county. They did go out to the apartment. You got to remember, they were trying to find them. They were trying to find them. Their truck was eventually found. Authorities came across a small amount of crystal meth, 90% pure. So that was in the truck. Michael's body was found the next day, on January 6th, covered in snow. I have to say, though, there was a very extra intensive search for Janelle. And unfortunately, it took a lot longer to find her. Her body was found the day after Michael's funeral. 6 days later, on January 12th, at the edge of the Sandpit Lake, about a half a mile away from Michael. They were both within 2 miles of their truck. Winter coats were found in the truck. Both Michael and Janelle died of hypothermia. Michael was wearing jeans and a hooded sweatshirt. Janelle was wearing jeans, high-heel boots, and a hooded shirt. Of course, they had an autopsy done. They both did test positive for meth. And the levels indicated that it was taken about 2 or 3 days before they had called 911. And actually, Janelle was found to have much higher amount in her system than Michael, almost 3 times the amount. A sufficient amount to cause anxiety, hot flashes, confusion, and hallucinations. It's likely they were unable to stay still in the safety and warmth of a car to wait help due to the nature of the drug. They also did find marijuana and nicotine in the toxicology screen. I'm going to touch on some notes I have here. It sounded like this possibly, from what I gathered in notes, that this actually was Janelle's, like one of her first times experimenting with this. I, of course, now knowing what we're about to talk about is one of the reasons that I wanted to tell this story. I heard this story back when it happened and it broke out. It has forever stayed in my mind and in my heart, and I've prayed for strength for their families. I myself have been around people that have smoked that. I've been involved in circumstances where people were already over the edge. Okay? Methamphetamine and crystal meth is something that will cause you to not sleep for days. You can take it and feel like you're on top of the world. It definitely causes hallucinogens. You're seeing things. You act totally out of character. That is not who these people were. She had a bright future. That is not what I want them, of course, to be known for. But folks, this tells you just experimenting what it did. I've got some notes here from the family. It says, Michael's brother Chris had suspected that he was using and even confronted him about the crystal meth. Chris was pretty confident that Michael had tried meth based on the comments he made about trying different drugs. Around Thanksgiving, his brother Chris spoke with Michael again, urging him to think about his future. Whatever you're on, Michael, think about it in the long run. So see, he had just said that to him just a couple months before. So, looking at the place that they were and what they were seeing or thinking they were seeing, cattle were actually in the area Michael was calling from, and it's possible confusion led him to believe the cattle were actually people who refused to help him, because that is what he was feeling. Like nobody wanted to help him. He felt scared. He felt like, why does anybody want to help us? Like begging, please help us. They didn't speak, so he figured they'd had another language. Well, because cows don't speak. He speculated that Michael may have been calling out to them and didn't receive a response. Janelle's mom, Twila, doesn't blame Michael for her daughter's death. She's confused by it because she knows that he was always respectful and kind to Janelle. See, they had a great relationship from what everybody really could see. Now, Michael, yes, did take a little different path in life. He did end up dropping out of high school, but right away, he did pick up a trade. He was working. He followed her to school. He loved her. But between January 1st and January 4th, they decided to hook up with some partying. Whether they claim that he did not take anything from like 2 or 3 days ago, the only thing I can say is maybe they did their last hits and then, they had been up for days. I feel that that may not be correct, but that's allegedly my opinion because there was some found in there. So I don't feel like they put the party down 3 days ago and then got in the car and decided to go home. Now, like I said, that is only my personal opinion. Allegedly, and to be honest, right now, I don't feel that that makes a difference because either way, if you've been using it for a couple days, you're not going to sleep. You're going to still be delirious. And so I don't think that we need to nail down their last hits. We already know what they did caused them absolutely terrible, terrible effects. I was looking into some things about crystal meth. Meth increases the amount of dopamine in the brain, which plays a role in how we feel pleasure, guys. It is highly addictive. Some have gotten hooked trying the drug just on once. Just trying it one time, guys. That's all it took. Use can cause paranoia, hallucinations, confusion, violence, memory loss, anxiety, decline in appetite, which leads to extreme weight loss. I have personally known people that have used this just to lose weight. I've known people they would put it in their coffee before they would go to work. These were people that had jobs that were making $75,000 easy, and this was back in the early 2000s. You never know what somebody is going through, nor somebody's story, which is why raising awareness on people's stories and things that can happen. You never know somebody's story, and it is so important to have things out there for people to reach out to, people to talk to. If you know that they are going through this, make sure that they have all the outlets. Of course, we cannot get them better until they are ready to get better. But folks, by saying this story, telling this story, it's letting you know that we had two young 20-year-old people in love, in college, going to make a big difference, had so much to live for. But because they chose a couple days of making bad decisions, it ended their life, and it ruined their family in many ways that they can never get back. I want you to know that meth use also leads to conditions referred to as meth mouth. That eventually leads to teeth falling out completely. This happens because the meth slows saliva glands, causes dry mouth. It also increases sugar cravings, and those addicted tend not to focus on oral hygiene, like brushing their teeth, dental care. It also causes hyperactivity, so they are like clenching their teeth. They cause to like skin issues, sores, it ages you immensely. The sleep deprivation, I mean, everything that is positive, it wipes it away. Let's say you're at a doctor's office. This person's 20 something years old. When you walk in there, they look 50. They have peeled their skin, they have picked their legs, this drug is disgusting. We have a big opiate epidemic across the nation. But folks, meth is right there behind it. Right there behind it. It is cooked in bathrooms. It is cooked in old shacks. And also, those places could blow up in a one wrong move. It can blow up a whole house that it's in. I'm sure people are familiar with the show Breaking Bad. I'm telling you, this story weighs so hard on my heart because I've seen people in this same predicament. And to know that these people were just lost in a blizzard. The mom said she'd saw Janelle early evenings of that New Year's Eve, and only a few days prior, and didn't notice anything concerning. She said that Janelle was in good spirits, that they had normal sleep patterns, played games with the kids. She was excited for what was New Year, like what was to come. It's unclear what transpired the days of Janelle's school break, from the New Year till the 4th, when they went missing. But they do know they attended several parties. Moving forward on this, Captain Raleigh Yost of Sarpy County led the investigation of the couple's disappearance. Okay? And suspected that they had likely done drugs at one of the parties around New Year's Day. He knew of the whereabouts and found that they had gone to a party where drugs were confirmed at. He felt was possible that Janelle had tried meth, like I said, for the first time. Investigators tracked down the source of the meth and arrested a mother and son who lived in Kearney, Nebraska, charging them with possession of methamphetamine. A mother and son. Shame on you, mother. and son too, but mother and son operation. Guys, this drug puts rocks in your brain. It's awful. On the night of New Year's, Janelle and Michael had gone to a party at the house of the 56-year-old Judith Morale and 19-year-old Micah Morale. The authorities haven't indicated if they believe that the Morales supplied Janelle and Michael with meth. At least they knew they got somebody off the streets. One of Janelle's sisters spoke at her funeral and indicated that it would be her mission to change Nebraska's 911 system to include the technology to pinpoint callers' locations. So, guys, I want you to know that in 2019, there was an article that indicated that Nebraska's 911 system was going to be a big part of a nationwide effort to bring call centers the ability to accurately pinpoint the cell phone user's location. I believe Nebraska, I think they got close to like $2 million in federal funds, and the goal was to have it up and running within 3 to 5 years. Something I read straight from Janelle's mom, Twyla, said there's always been a hole since her daughter's death. Janelle planned to graduate and work as a human resource. She loved kids and wanted a family. Janelle's sister Jan wanted to make something positive come from her sister's tragic death. She speaks with kids in school and at church and groups about Janelle's story. The family spoke with National Geographic about Janelle's story in May of 2005 when they covered the story titled World's Most Dangerous Drug. You know, a lot of times I do a ribbon at the end because we are trying to find justice. This case is different because I feel the family is doing things to make a difference. From pinpointing, there was only 9 states, guys, that did not have this pinpointing. So they are just now getting up to date. And unfortunately, we don't know how many stories there are out there. At the end of every episode of The Search, I always make a ribbon for prayers to find justice. This ribbon for Janelle and Michael and their family is a ribbon of prayer for strength to carry on their name and to help make a difference with their story. The deaths of Janelle Hornickel and Michael Wamsley have made such an impact and have definitely saved others. If you have any problems or addictions or you need help, I will provide any numbers that you'll need available. Please reach out. You're not alone. There's so many fighting, and you can accomplish this. You can do it. You can do it. So I will provide all the information down in the description. And like I said, if you have not yet hit the subscribe, like, and share button, please do. I appreciate any comments. I ask you to keep this family in your prayers to hold strength. Even though it was 2005, I know it feels like yesterday. And I thought it was so important to get this story out. I want to thank you all for listening. And I will see you on the next search. Good night, everybody.